I couldn't find a job because I started to look for jobs in 2008. No one wanted to hire students. I discovered freelancer.com and I looked for jobs and I found like a $30 job on building a slider, and I worked 3 days and nights to get it done. I had a lot of misconception because I thought by having a company, printing business cards, making the company website, we will get clients, right? But none of this, contributed in any way. And then a big moment was when we released the Riff Lite. So when we released the theme in the repository, I stopped worrying about the money, and I could worry only about, how we can grow the business and make the most out of it. It will bring monumental change to how we do things and how we live and how we work. I'm just using AI a lot, and I'm trying to use it for everything pretty much. This is the one thing that I would be focusing on, and I'm trying to spend as much time as possible myself.
Our guest today is not only the co-founder of Themeisle, but importantly, and maybe more importantly, he's a developer that's moved into several areas and been able to grow a successful business within the WordPress space. And today, what I'd like to do is basically break down some of the lessons and strategies you've learned so that the regular viewer watching this can learn from those lessons and take them and use them in their own journey. And before we get started, for anyone that hasn't come across your work yet, can you introduce yourself and share what you're building?
Hey Ryan, yeah, thanks for having me. So I'm Ionut. I'm co-founder of Themeisle and a bunch of other things that we are doing around. We started this 13 years ago when I was still a student. Nowadays, I'm involved with the product, looking for possible acquisitions, directions, and thinking about the future of the business and of our product, of our team.
Let's take us back to the beginning. What were you doing before you got into WordPress and building themes?
I had a computer science degree, so I had this background, but I couldn't find a job because I started to look for jobs in 2008, around that time when no one wanted to hire students, like it was a really awful experience. And I was going to interviews and it was just frustrating. So someone took a chance on me and said, okay, like need someone to help. You don't need to know anything. I said, that's me. I don't know anything. So I got to learn a little bit of JavaScript, jQuery in particular, which was kind of new and cool back then. And with this, I went to freelancing platforms. So I discovered freelancer.com and I looked for jobs and I found like a $30 job on building a slider in in jQuery, something custom. I worked 3 days and nights to get it done. So this is a little bit how I started doing, like anything I could to earn some money, and I liked a lot the idea of doing it online, doing it remote, like being able later to travel and so on. So, but it was also driven a little bit out of necessity, like I was sharing, because it was not easy for me to find a job.
Did you have any kind of direction in which way you were going when you were starting out with that, or were you just following from job to job? You were trying to just keep things moving?
No, I had completely no direction, not even, like even thinking about a development career. I remember that I applied for like assistant manager position. I just thought like when I read in the job description, like manager, I'm not there. Assistant manager, maybe it's for me. I just want to learn and understand what's going on. So I had no clue what I want to do, and I just knew like I want to learn. I want to learn about things, and that was the thing that was most important. I remember I had an interview, and I just told them, like I did some tests, and it was on Java, and I was sharing like, okay, like I don't need any salary. I just need you to pay me the metro ticket so I can come there, and that's all. I'm fine. I'm looking to learn and prove myself. So,
But it sounded like you had a hunger for learning actually, and you knew that that was a very important part of your journey.
it was not strategical. It's just who I am. I think pretty much. I mean, I was very curious. So I think it came with that. Yeah.
When you were doing that and you were going from job to job and you were, doing those jobs, were you at all? Did you know about WordPress? Were you interested in WordPress? What sparked your interest in WordPress?
It's kind of, like funny and unusual. So I was doing all different jobs, like anything that I could do. And I was quite quickly successful, and I started to have other people helping me and so on. But we were doing different things. I was not especially interested in WordPress, and even the first things that I was doing in WordPress, I was trying to look more from the PHP way. I was not following anything because I didn't knew the platform. But in order to develop my sites at the beginning, I started to learn about SEO, and I grew a little bit unhappy with the freelancer platforms because sometimes the clients would try to force you to go extra mile, and in order for them to don't leave you a bad review. So they would say, okay, like if you don't do this extra thing, like I would leave you a bad review, and this was very bad for the business, and I was frustrated with that. So then combining my SEO knowledge and with this a little bit, like unhappy with the platforms themselves and the way it worked, I was looking for a keyword that is not very competitive, but can drive us business. So this is how I came to PSD to WordPress. So this was a pure, like keyword analysis. I saw PSD to WordPress. I thought it's good. It's the prices looked fine. It was not like PSD to HTML, which was like competitive at that time. And I thought, yeah, that's it. So we started coding WP, did some SEO on it, and we quite quickly got on the first page. But I had no interest in WordPress itself. I was just looking for like a constant stream of clients that are coming to us, and I don't need to kind of always stress myself on the latest rating that can then lower my chance and lower my bid and so on. And also I realized that as I started to work with other people as a business, it was not productive to work on any technology we find. So we will do like a Java project, a PHP, some SEO, everything that was possible. I realized we need to kind of focus on something. So yeah, those were the drivers. And I was thinking, okay, like if we get to focus on something, we should be more productive and hopefully also be profitable, because when I started to have other people helping me, it started quickly to stop being profitable because I was not really great in selling and managing time. And I was always excited about, taking project, learning things. It was great for learning, but not great business. Yeah. So.
And did you find once you focused on something, did that become a lot easier and more, and it allowed you to kind of make a clear decisions of how you were going to build your business and how you were going to structure it?
It was combined with persistence, because I also like to jump from one thing to the other and try, I started also different blogs in different areas, writing about anything that you can imagine, and small projects everywhere. So it's, it was also the persistence. Let's stick with this, right? Let's stick with this PSD to WordPress thing. It's not working great, because when we started to do the work, actually we saw those prices looked high, but then it's not very easy to deliver if the client wants to be like pixel perfect. That's not as easy as we thought. So we need to increase our prices a bit. So, but the persistence combined with the focus, the persistence on a specific thing, it was what allowed us to make it work at some point. But it was not obvious immediately. I mean, it was not obvious at the beginning. It needed to kind of build up the knowledge in that area.
So you're at the start of that process, and starting something is never easy. So you've mentioned a couple of the challenge of pricing and things like that in what you just said there. But what were some of the other kind of biggest challenges you faced early on? Like funding, marketing, and stuff like that.
So how we started so I was a freelancer, and then one of my clients, I got a client to build 10 sites for him or something. It was also from Romania, and then he came up with the idea, I think, to maybe we should do like an agency together. And this was how we started. He had some some projects coming and a little bit of money for the, like to have an office, set up the company and everything. So it was, and for me, I knew like I don't want to do this admin work and so on. So it was exactly what I thought I needed back then. And this is how we started, a little bit by, in a way by chance, but in another way, it was also through my work, right? So as I was focused, I was not having necessarily a strategy, but I was, focused on delivering, on having good reviews. And yeah, when someone told me, yeah, I like how efficient you are and how you work, and let's start a company together, I said, yeah, I think that makes sense because I knew like eventually I would need to do that somehow. So this is how it was for me. Then the marketing, when you ask, I mean, I had a lot of misconception because I thought by having a company, printing business cards, making the company website, we will get clients, right? But none of this, contributed in any way. I mean, we did the company website, we did the business cards and stuff, but this brought, nothing to us. What worked was still the clients coming from the freelancer platforms. This was the, let's say, the marketing, if you want, but it was not easy because usually there is a fight for the price. So you would get to. It's great, I think, to build up your skills, build up some reputation, but to be profitable, it's not as easy. Working on those platforms, but at that stage for us was great. The other people that work were also students, so we hired students to work, and it was suitable because it's like it was great for them. It was also opportunity to learn and so on.
When you're in that kind of space, what's the one mistake early on in that kind of era that really taught you a lesson that you'll never forget?
A lot of mistakes that we did. They contributed to learning. I mean, when I started, I was very young, so it was like obvious that I had no experience, even not a lot of development experience, no business experience, and so it was. I see more like as learning than mistakes. I think, yeah, mistake a little bit for me is when you have all the information and you do some wrong judgment. I mean, for me back then, I had no information, so I was kind of, like I was just learning and yeah, finding my way. But one thing probably that I thought, to answer your question, that I thought about the most is that I lacked. I mean, I lacked having a sort of mentor or someone that was, like that had experience that I can trust and that can help me understand and go through this journey, right? Which because I didn't have that, I had like along this 13 years and also at the beginning. A lot of moments when I will just drift in various directions, following different interests or different ideas and not focusing on the right things. So I think that was probably one of the biggest thing that I would change and could have helped us a lot.
We're going to move forward in this, and then we're going to go to growing Themeisle, basically. So how did you manage and grow it over time?
So just in terms of phases, for the first, like kind of 2 years where we just tried and learn and so on. So it was basically more of learning and not really being able to achieve much. Then a big moment was when we released the Riff Lite. So when we released the theme in the repository, and we saw like early signs of success. And then it was important that I could use all the things that I was playing before and learning, all the kind of marketing experiments that I was kind of doing, like A/B testing. I was playing with things that were maybe interesting to me, but probably they were not a priority for the business at that time. But myself, I was like getting into that, right? But then when this moment arrived, I'd say well prepared to kind of, like to spot like, okay, this is a big opportunity and let's put all my skills to work in terms of marketing. So that moment was really a pivotal moment, because then I stopped worrying about the money, and I could worry only about, how we can grow the business and make the most out of it, think more strategic, more long term. For example, we started developing our blog, and I knew the results will come in 2 years, right? But I could do that because I knew, like, we I don't need to worry for the next 2 years in terms of the money, and we will have enough money to wait for 2 years, right? And then for the Themeisle blog, it's the same. I projected that maybe we need to wait for 3 years for to have results. So that was a big moment. I mean, yeah, having the money allowed me to think in the long term. Of course, also do a lot of mistakes, but yeah, make those long term plans, which I think it's really important. I mean, to make those investments that, like, that's why a lot of people didn't have success on this area, because, like, they invest for 1, 2, 3 months and they said then, okay, but yeah, it's not really working, let's stop it, and so on. So in order to kind of execute on that long-term vision, you need to have the patience, the knowledge, but also the funding. So that was the key moment. And when I started to learn more about being an entrepreneur, and less, like, on being on the let's say the ground, on marketing, clients, and everything.
I want to dive into something that you mentioned, basically, because basically being a founder in that space, how did you know how to make those long-term decisions, and how did you know, what was the value in you being able to, like, dabble in what you did, like A/B testing and things like that early on?
So I was trying to do paid marketing before, and trying to say, okay, how I can promote this agency thing that we are doing. And uh, I was looking at what are the prices, right? So we tried a couple of articles here and there, okay, like 500, 1,000, 1,500, uh, and trying to reach out to some people in the community. And I remember it was like the founder of Manage WP at that time. And it was the type of person that I knew, like, I couldn't pay him I didn't have the money, and I couldn't pay him to say something good about us, right? So I had this understanding from my paid marketing experience, right? So then when we started the blog, and then we published, we had also big journey there, but we finally started to work with Carol, published some more interesting stuff there. I see he retweeted or shared on Twitter and on Manage WP blog that article, and getting a couple of good views and so on. So then I saw, yeah, I mean, for me, one, I would have needed to get that exposure. I would have needed to spend a couple of thousand, and I couldn't even get to a person with enough, reputation to pay them somehow to recommend my thing. So then when I realized, like, that's extremely valuable, right? I mean, if I can do that through $200 or 100 that I paid for the content. So if I can create the type of content that drives, so it was not about, before I was trying with $3 article, $5 article, whatever, all those things, but then I made this connection, right? If I create that type of content, that make those people sharing and saying, okay, that's really interesting, that's useful, that's great, and so on, that would be extremely valuable. So that's when I had the like, let's say, the confidence. And this is how we started on our content effort, trying to create these types of content. Of course, not every article was the same, but a good number of them that were quite, interesting and well researched, and that generated, like, a good response in the community. So that was, like, when I kind of, yeah. And then, of course, we started to generate some affiliate revenue. So I got some understanding already that, yeah, that can be quite interesting as well. But when I started, this was let's say, the insight that I had.
If you were back at the beginning, what were the first steps you think someone needs to take to start as a WordPress theme developer or developer in general, basically?
I would say I think what worked for me was, yeah, curiosity and persistence, and not, I mean, and not thinking about the necessarily the results. I mean, what's the business plan of that, or of I always, I even now I have the best results where when I'm not thinking about that, when I'm getting into something, like, yeah, I'm interested, I'm passionate, I want to learn, I want to do something, and I feel like I'm productive, I'm energized. uh, People say I'm delivering some value in that area. I think that's the sweet spot, and not thinking, yeah, but yeah, how I can sell that, then my cost is this, maybe it won't gonna work.
If we think about the space we're in currently right now with how people can generate ideas, how people can test ideas and things like that. I mean, if you were starting right now with all the tools you have in front of you, what would you be looking at as someone starting out? Is there anything particular you think that would help speed up the journey or help someone kind of understand it a bit better?
Yeah, so now you have different tools. That's right in terms of building those things. But then I think that the third point that I didn't mention, that I think it's important, I'm using it now, I was using it then. It's this, kind of focus on creating value for the person. So it's just right now. So if I can find one person, right, I don't need like an audience of 1,000, 10,000, but I find one person, Ryan, right, and then you are having some sort of challenge that I can help you with, and then I see, and then finding that point where, like, maybe it took me 5 minutes to do this thing for you using AI, using whatever things I have at my disposal. But from our discussion, I can see, like, for you, this was extremely valuable, right? We didn't exchange maybe any money, right? I was just helping you with, but I can see that, yeah, okay, so with this, 5 minutes of my time and all those tools and knowledge and whatever, I could do something from someone that was really important. So that was the thing that I was, like, trying to do. And then, okay, yeah, I can see, okay, how I can generate revenue, how much I should charge you, and how it can work further, or I can create a tool. But it's also something now that I'm doing in the business where I'm trying to be in touch with customers, or trying to look at the things that I'm doing myself and thinking, what can give a lot, like a lot of value and save time, even again for myself, right? So I see myself today, I spend 3 hours on doing this task, right? If maybe there are more people in my situation, if I create some sort of small automation that will do that in like 15 minutes, I'm sure I would pay something for that, right? That would be, because that would be valuable. It will save me 2 hours of time. And then if I have one person, I know, like, there usually there are other people in that situation, right? So having kind of this mindset of, like, uh, going deep, I mean, and delivering value, but going deep, not thinking like, yeah, okay, there are 1,000 developers in the world or 1 million developers in the world, and developers like, I don't know, code terminals, and let me build a code terminal. But rather going to, like, I don't know, going out of your house, or going in a forum, or in a Reddit, or in a group, talking with an individual person that you understand what they do, what they need, what they like, what they don't like. So yeah, actually, I think if you are, yeah, curious enough, like, even doing this sort of freelancing, I think at the beginning it's quite useful, not from the revenue generating perspective, but get in touch with people and with businesses having real, challenges, problems, and understanding a little bit this relationship. I mean, of how much, but looking at both sides, right? I mean, what's the effort that I'm putting, and what's the value that I'm delivering. And yeah, that's something that I was yet thinking, and I think that applies, yeah, no matter if it's AI, it's not AI, or if you can deliver value to someone, like, more value than effort that you put, there is a delta there that you can make a living out of.
you've mentioned like you kind of dig into kind of maybe where people are talking and having conversations about things to kind of find out people's problems and pains and things like that as well. But where would you go to find the jobs right now? Well, what would you do if you were looking for those kind of jobs that you've just mentioned?
So I was looking on those, like freelancer platforms and so on at the very beginning. When I had a little bit of experience, I because I liked the work that I was doing, I started to reach out, So I was continuing to look on, like I'm looking on Twitter or on different things, and I'm going through different sites. And then I would reach out myself to that person saying, hey, I checked your site. I see, I saw a little bit what you are posting. What are your challenges? And I saw on your site that maybe your SEO optimization is not that great, or your speed is not that great. And look, I just, I did some testing, and I think, I can speed up your site maybe 30%, and it will be done in a week and you will need to just pay me, I don't know, $200 or whatever, right? So I would be very, again, this is also my way. I will be very proactive, going towards, and trying to reach out to those, small companies, reaching to founders or people that are involved, and they are a little bit more advanced. And being proactive like that, I think it's a good way to do it. And it for me, I like it because it's even if that person is not answering or saying, okay, yeah, no, I'm not interested. For me, it was a great exercise, right? I mean, it was a great exercise to look at your business and think about, oh yeah, how I can improve, how I can speed up that site, and yeah, okay, I can do it you don't want it, you don't want to hire me, you don't think it's important, that's fine. But for me, I learned something out of that, right? And for me, it worked better versus, trying to create the nice CV and trying to have the right companies in the CV and have the right period that I stayed on each company. I consider that a little bit of a waste of time and not aligned with my way of doing things, right? So I would rather put that effort, that planning into building my resume, in a way that it will pop up to people. Um, I would use that time to pop up through my work in just reaching out directly to people with very direct advice and with very direct results. Hey, I did this for you. I think you should try this alternative. Set up an A/B test. Put this page that I created, and I'm quite confident it might generate you an increase in sales, for example.
So if someone's listening and are thinking, I'd love to build something like you've built, or, start where you started, what's the one piece of advice you'd leave them with?
Persistence is it's important, and it's important to understand the compounding that happens over time, right? I mean that you get some experience. So, like, again, if I look at my journey, I got some experience in SEO. It didn't work the size that I created. I got some experience in WordPress. In managing people, I didn't get the results. But over time, those things kind of added up. Like the people that I met, the clients that I met, and I left a good impression. The employees that they grew up with me in this journey, the different skills in different areas, and the results might not come in 1 year or 3 year, or they might be in 5 years, right? But it's this is all compounding, right? And so as an entrepreneur, I think, and as even freelancer, and then potentially entrepreneur, I think what's the great advantage that you should use, and that I used, is that I would create the right environment for me. So the problem for me was in a company, I would be very unproductive because I work in a certain way that's not very common. So you need to reflect, I think, also, and try to think, okay, what are your skills, and to adjust people that you work, to adjust the industry that you go to, adjust the product, to adjust your services to suit your skills. Maybe you are not very curious, or maybe you are, but you are very organized, right? So you need to maybe running an agency is the right thing for you, because you need a lot of that, right? So I think another thing that I learned in terms of entrepreneurship is that there is no so I joined an organization of entrepreneurs just to understand what it is to be an entrepreneur. And then what I see every day that no entrepreneur is the same with each other. All the stories are different. All the people are very diverse, and some of them maybe look more like a classical entrepreneurs, while others you would never say. So I think in terms of skills, is like, like it's a great opportunity to kind of craft your own journey that suits your strength.
Is there anything particularly you think people should be focusing on, like as in tools right now, in terms of if they're starting off as a developer?
I think for now, at least I can say what I'm doing myself in terms of tools. I'm just using AI a lot, and I'm trying to use it for everything pretty much. I feel I have this feeling of in terms of AI that, like there will they it will bring monumental change to how we do things and how we live and how we work, but I cannot see which what I know, like there is something that would be changed fundamentally, but and it seems like obvious, but I cannot phantom it and I cannot like grasp it yet. So I think just using it and trying to involve AI in everything that you do and in all the kind of, again, problem solving, and it's more to build the mental models, right? So it's not to kind of just see what's the latest cool and trick and so on. I think just to rewire a little bit and to create mental models, because after a couple of weeks, for example, what I notice is that I start to think differently, right? So I when I get into a problem, I would say, okay, for that problem, I would need to use this deep research, right? For that problem, I would need to use, like, okay, I need to create a flow with agents and etc. to handle it, right? So and for this problem, I just would need to ask a reasoning AI. For this problem, I would need to ask the normal AI, because they work differently and they are helpful in different ways. And so uh, I would say that people are not spending enough time on because you have your normal job and etc. They are not spending enough time on this, and this is the one thing that I would be focusing on, and I'm trying to spend as much time as possible myself personally, like with plain AI, well, these things, but also trying to build things right with AI as well. We're using Cursor, learning to use Cursor, and using different things to build with AI, but also then connecting with the real use cases, right? I mean, the challenges that I see in my team, in my work, meeting with business owners, and just out of curiosity, asking them, okay, yeah, so what are the challenges in your business? I mean, where you have most of your expenses, what those people are doing. Can I maybe, like find a way to connect those things, right? So trying to, on one hand, yeah, use a lot of AI. On the other hand, trying to map it with yeah, real needs that people have or businesses have.
Everything you're learning right now and everything you've just talked about in terms of where people should focus their energy, is it hard for you to say fast forward 5 years and see exactly what the next big challenge is for you, or do you know right now, have you kind of got an idea of what the next big challenge for you and your team, your business is?
I have a hard time to think in those timelines, right? I mean, I have a hard time to think and to plan in terms of, okay, what's the goal in 5 years? I like more to think in terms of fundamentals that I know, like, okay, now and even in 5 years, whatever, it would be important to have smart people around you and to grow yourself and grow as well as a team, to be able to tackle any, opportunities or challenges or markets or etc. I think that would be that's something that stays. This is what I'm doing in terms of the team that we are having. And then I'm trying to rather think more in a very short term and think, okay, like we have those clients that are paying their yearly subscriptions. What I can do for them, how I can make sure they are happy with what we do. Um, those are the, let's say, the things that I'm focusing on, and I know, like, if I'm able to kind of get those two things right, um, there should be no concern in terms of where the let's say the macro is going in the next 5 years, right? If I manage to kind of deliver value to those clients, whatever that would be, it would be AI, it won't be AI, it would be, something else, and be connected with them. And same for the team. I think those are the yeah, components that I need, and being kind of, yeah, on the ground and understand, like the problems that our clients are having, the things that they need, why they need that, and listening to that. I think I this is how I try to think about the future. And of course, when I spot something unusual, then I will go all in on that, right? When I spot, like, yeah, there is some, like, interesting, spark. I mean, there are a couple of clients that are really excited and really impressed about that feature or that product. And then we think, okay, maybe there is more there, and we'll build on that, but that is hard to kind of, predict or do when you reach, like we reach with Zerif, this, like, kind of magic timing and product and everything, right?
Just going to say thank you so much for the conversation we've just had. It's been fantastic to talk to you. It's been fantastic to go over your journey and the thoughts of what you think, the future holds in terms of for you guys, but also, what people should be focusing on and things like that. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Ryan, for, yeah, for moderating, for for listening, for having the patience, and I hope that, yeah, it's been useful for people listening as well.